Most financial advice begins with a single assumption, that your stress is a byproduct of your current tax bracket. The logic follows that a higher salary acts as a natural solvent for debt and instability. On the left, a top earner's income drains completely through the base. On the right, a modest worker retains growing capital. It's the consumer trap. Spending automatically expands to fill the space a raise provides, keeping that worth at zero. To break this, we look to the Japanese concept of chisoku. The term translates to knowing what is enough. It is a cultural practice of finding contentment in sufficiency rather than perpetual acquisition. In this framework, wealth is defined by the gap between your needs and your means, not the total size of your paycheck. Achieving financial peace requires a shift in focus. It relies on the kakebo method, a traditional system of mindful tracking that forces you to examine the why behind every yen spent. You gain control by neutralizing the impulse to spend before the money even leaves your hand. Moving toward intentional living requires a rigorous audit of daily habits. This involves categorizing every expense, not just by its cost, but by its necessity to your long-term stability. Mathematically, more money cannot fix a lack of discipline. If your spending habits are built on impulse, a 50% raise simply provides 50% more fuel for those existing behavioral loops. The goal is to define a financial threshold, the precise dollar amount required to cover housing, health, and security. Everything beyond this line represents a choice between immediate gratification and future freedom. In many Japanese households, this threshold remains fixed even as earnings increase. Like water in a stone basin, the resources grow, but the container stays the same size, allowing the excess to be captured rather than wasted. Without a hard boundary, a promotion often becomes a liability. It allows minor, occasional indulgences to transform into permanent, high-cost obligations that anchor you to your job. True wealth accumulates when you repair the behavioral leaks in your budget. Once those are sealed, a raise actually builds equity instead of just funding a more expensive version of the same lifestyle. Transitioning to this lifestyle requires moving from broad philosophy to specific, tactical rejections of modern consumer culture. The first habit is a forced delay. By implementing a 30-day waiting period for not-essential items, you allow the initial dopamine spike of the new to fade. This leaves only the cold evaluation of the object's actual utility. This chart tracks a single recurring $5 purchase. When projected over a decade, those small circles branch out into a sum exceeding $18,000. Quiet wealth is built by recognizing these small, invisible leaks before they compound. This illustrates the Japanese ethos of mottainai, a sense of regret over waste. When you introduce consumer debt, the interest payments turn your potential savings into a drain. Borrowing money to buy depreciating assets represents the ultimate form of financial waste. These trajectory-altering decisions happen in the quiet moments of the day, choosing a home-cooked meal over delivery, or maintaining an older vehicle rather than financing a new one. The cumulative effect of these small rejections creates a financial surplus that outpaces the gains of even the most significant salary increases. The end state of this discipline is a life where your peace of mind is no longer tied to the performance of your company or the whims of your boss. We can see the two paths here. On the left, loud wealth demands constant high-performance labor to maintain a collection of premium items. On the right, quiet wealth offers a minimalist landscape defined by zero debt and high liquidity. To reach that second state, the blame for financial struggle must shift inward. While external factors like inflation are real, the primary obstacle to wealth is often the psychological impulse to keep pace with the spending of others. The path to becoming rich is paved with self-regulation. It is the steady, deliberate act of halting the cycle of impulse. Lasting wealth is the inevitable result for anyone who masters the internal mechanics of contentment. It is not a privilege reserved for the high earner, but a reward for the disciplined one.